Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain Swarmed. This movie tells the story of a swarm of deadly wasps taking control of the city and trying to kill everyone it meets. Can these wasps be stopped? Let's find out in Swarmed. Swarmed begins by showing a scientist named Kent Horvath conducting research on wasps. Kent is trying to invent a new pesticide, which is quite dangerous, where when the pesticide is sprayed on the wasps become more aggressive. Kent mixes certain substances in the pesticide that can make the wasps more aggressive. He then put the dangerous pesticide in a red bottle among the blue bottles of pesticides, which are usually used to kill insects. Kent then tested the effectiveness of the dangerous pesticide by spraying it on 8 wasps in less than 10 seconds and found that it killed 6 wasps, while the other 2 survived. However, when examined, both wasps have very high levels of pheromones, resulting in increased aggression. Since it was late at night, Kent decided to go home and continue his experiments on the pesticide in the morning. After Kent left, a janitor entered Kent's research room to clean up the place. He accidentally released 2 surviving wasps, which instantly stung him to death. The next day, Kent was surprised because his research room was filled with police and forensic officers. He was then shocked when he saw the janitor lying lifeless in his research room, with a swollen face condition due to a wasp sting. Officer Haydon, the police officer in charge of handling the case, has not determined the cause of the janitor's death because usually, humans do not die just from being stung by a wasp. Haydon also decided to perform an autopsy on the janitor's corpse to obtain information about the exact cause of the man's death. Meanwhile, Kent finds a dead wasp on the floor and tries to find other wasps that are still alive in the room. Not long after, the janitor's body was taken to the morgue and a coroner was seen about to perform an autopsy on the corpse. When approaching the corpse of the janitor, the coroner heard a buzzing sound from the corpse's mouth. When the coroner opened the corpse's mouth, suddenly a wasp flew out of it. The wasp then attacked the coroner and began stinging him until he died before finally flying away. Meanwhile elsewhere, David Orso and his daughter intend to grill a barbecue in front of the house. Annoyed by the smoke from the grilling, wasps which were nesting in a tree near the Orso family's home, began attacking the man and his daughter. The 2 of them immediately ran into the house and immediately called a man named Q, who is very good at exterminating insects. After getting a phone call from the Orso family, Q immediately rushed to prepare the equipment needed to eradicate the wasps. When Q checked the pesticide availability, it turned out that his pesticide stock had run out, so he decided to go to Kent's place and ask for some bottles of pesticide. Arriving at Kent's place, Q immediately stated the purpose of his arrival to him. Kent lets Q take a few bottles of pesticide, but he warns him not to use any of the experimental pesticides that are in the red bottles. However, Q, who was curious, then put the pesticide liquid in a red bottle into the spray tank, because he thought that the pesticide could kill wasps faster than ordinary pesticides. Arriving at the Orso family's house, Q immediately secured the wasp's nest that was disturbing the family and sprayed pesticides on the wasp nest. He immediately returned home after his work was finished. He then rushed to place the wasp's nest that had been sprayed with pesticides into his trash compactor to be burned. However, he was surprised when he found out that about a quarter of the wasps in the nest were still alive after being sprayed with pesticides. Q tried to kill the wasps with insect repellent spray, but the wasps were very aggressive and immediately attacked him. After being stung by a wasp, a swarm of wasps then chased Q, who ran to his car after feeling strange things in his body. He tried to inject antivenom into his body in the car because he thought the wasp stings were poisonous. He finally managed to survive, but was unconscious due to the effects of the anti-venom. The wasp swarm then flies away and starts sending out attack pheromones, which attracts many other swarms and turns them to have a very strong venom, which is very similar to sprayed swarms. Elsewhere, a woman named Christina Brown, an entomologist, is seen teaching students about wasps. However, in the middle of the lesson, Christina was forced to leave her students after receiving a phone call from Haydon, who asked her to come to the morgue immediately. Haydon then informed her of the deaths of the janitor and a coroner who died while attempting to perform an autopsy on the janitor's corpse, prompting Christina to investigate the possible connection between the 2 deaths and Kent's experiment. Christina, who had assumed that humans would not die from wasp stings, then took samples of wasp stings on the 2 corpses. She was then surprised to learn that the wasp that stung the 2 men to death was actually genetically altered. Christina rushed to Kent's place to investigate further. Upon arrival, Christina immediately explained to Kent that the deaths of the 2 men were caused by wasp stings that had undergone genetic changes. Kent then analyzed the pesticide content in the dead wasps. He was shocked to learn that the pesticide caused a genetic mutation in the wasp's chemical structure and produced a very strong venom along with excessive aggression. While Kent and Christina are searching for the missing wasp in the coroner's office, Hayden gets a report of discovering the body of another man who was thought to have died from a wasp sting. The man was grilling raw meat in his yard when a swarm of wasps suddenly attacked him and stung him to death. Hayden then summoned Kent and Christina to the scene to investigate the corpse. Upon arrival, Kent and Christina immediately investigated the man's body who was thought to have died from a wasp sting. Christina then concluded that the death this time was caused by the sting of a swarm of wasps. Which means not only does one wasp has a venom sting, but now the number has increased. Kent then remembered that Q had come to his place today to ask for pesticides. He assumed that Q had used the experimental pesticides to eradicate wasp nests. Kent and Christina later found several dead wasps on the man's clothes and brought them back to the lab for further analysis. Arriving at Kent's place, the two immediately checked into the pesticide supply room where the liquid in the red bottle containing the dangerous pesticide had been reduced by more than half. Kent then called Q to look for his whereabouts but got no answer. Kent then analyzed the wasp found in the body of a man and learned that the deadly venom contained in the wasp's body showed identical similarities to the wasp venom that killed the janitor and coroner. After that, Kent and Christina rushed to Q's place to check on his condition. On the other hand, Q, who has woken up from his stupor, is getting ready to eradicate a swarm of deadly wasps with the help of Rafe, a young man he's watched over the summer. Q then tells Rafe about a swarm of wasps that stung him with poison and also about Kent's experimental pesticides that he carelessly used to kill wasp nests. Q, who assumes that the pesticide has caused the wasps to become aggressive and has a poisonous sting, then tries to eradicate the wasps with Rafe. On the way, Q and Rafe cross paths with Kent and Christina. Q then describes what happened to him after being stung by a wasp, and Kent tells Q that the wasps have killed 3 people and maybe the number of people who die from wasp stings will increase if they don't stop it. Kent and Christina, who concluded that the smoke from the grill would attract the wasps, then told Hayden to postpone the annual burger cook-off to be held downtown because it would attract the wasps to come there and start attacking the townspeople. Hayden immediately informed the chief about the threat of a deadly wasp attack, who was having lunch, so that his boss could advise the mayor to cancel the downtown cooking event. However, Chief didn't believe Hayden's words and instead threatened him, or anyone else, with legal action if they dared to interfere with the annual burger cook-off. Just after Hayden left Chief, a swarm of wasps attracted to the steak that Chief was eating rushed over there and killed the Chief as he tried to fight back. Elsewhere, the first poisonous wasp to kill a janitor manages to kill the mayor by stinging his eye. The annual burger cooking event has finally begun. Kent and Christina try to convince a man named Washburn, the head of the organizers, to cancel the event because there is a threat of a deadly wasp attack heading there. However, Washburn did not believe their words and continued the event. The townspeople began to arrive and thronged the location, along with a swarm of wasps that arrived there and began attacking the crowded city. The townspeople then tried to save themselves by hiding in a safe place. Kent and Christina try to save the townspeople stung by wasps by injecting anti-venom liquid, while Q and Rafe try to kill the wasps by spraying fire at the wasps. An idea crossed Q's mind to trap the wasps into the garage, where he would burn them all there. Q then peddles raw meat onto golf carts to lure the wasp mates to follow him into the garage, while Kent, Christina, and Rafe begin collecting gas tanks and spraying petrol all over the garage to set the wasps on fire once they get stuck. Long story short, Q managed to lure the entire swarm of wasps into the garage, and they then lit the gas with Rafe's lighter. However, after the fire engulfed the wasp swarm and destroyed the garage, the queen wasp managed to escape. The film ends by showing Kent and Christina, who are now in a relationship, going out for dinner. The camera then zooms in on the scorched vacuum, revealing that the queen wasp, which has survived the blaze, is in the process of laying eggs, indicating that the deadly wasp terror isn't over yet.